Don't stop.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me in the Everything and Anything and a Bit Gay podcast. I'm Zach Randles-Friedman, the host of the show. And today I have a really fantastic guest. He is a guy that started this company. He has these nutrients that he sells. If you can't see it, if you're not watching a video, it's called Glisodin. I'll spell that Glisodin, skin nutrients. It is an advanced anti-aging formula, and it's a supplement. And I've been taking this for about almost 30 days, and I can tell a huge difference in my skin. So this is not a paid promotion. It's somebody that I interviewed that I got the supplements from, and I think it's great. My guest today, Francois, I really enjoyed the conversation with him. He talked about his whole journey on discovering this and getting it approved, and I am thrilled that I am now, it's part of my daily stack of supplements that I take every day. And I think it's showing a big difference in my skin. So thank you, Francois, for making this. Also, before I get into the podcast, about a month ago, I wanted to tell you the story. I was in New York City, and I am now doing, like, on Saturday or Sunday, I'm doing, like, my guests coming up this week are, and I go through and I say that. So when I was in New York, I was into my studio. I'm like, let me do this on the street, because I see people doing these videos on the street all the time. And I thought it'd be cool. And so as I'm doing my video, and I'm trying to remember, because I had 6 episodes that week coming up. So I was trying to remember the guest, what the show topics were about, and just kind of keep that in my mind and keep the video, try to keep it under a minute. So as I'm standing there, I go and I start, and then I stop, and I go start again. And I'm almost finished, and this woman walks up to me in the middle of my selfie video. No one's there, it's just me holding the phone. And she says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm making a video. Like, it was pointing at me, no one else. She goes, "But what's the video about?" I'm like, "It's a personal video for me." Like, and I'm like, I'm not filming anybody, I'm filming myself. Why are you doing it here? I'm standing on the street, on Bleecker Street in the West Village, like on the corners doing it. Nobody was I was on a side street, so nobody was like really around. Behind me was like a subway station. So it was like, I wasn't filming a store or anything. She goes, "I was just wondering what you're doing." It's like, have you not seen anybody filming like themselves or taking pictures or taking videos on the street of New York? Like, what's your problem? So I thought it was really weird and bizarre. And I'm just like, okay, she's just a crazy Karen or whatever. And then I just kind of like walked down the street a little bit and pretend I was leaving. And then she walked away. And then I went back and started my video over for like the 12th time. And it was done. Well, I kind of liked that whole street thing that I was doing. And so I decided I was going to go out in my neighborhood and go on the street and do it with people walking in the background. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to like do it in Boston instead of New York. And maybe I don't just sit here in my studio and do these videos. I do like, oh, this is what's coming up this week. And I have like people, actively walking behind me. A woman comes up to me and says, ask me what I was filming again. Different city, different video, different time. Not the same woman, thank God, because that would have been scary. But she's like, what are you doing? I'm filming a video of myself. I mean, maybe it's weird that I'm stopped on a corner and I'm just standing there like talking to the camera, but like, it's not that abnormal nowadays. Like, everybody does selfies. Everybody's doing these videos. Everybody's taking pictures and videos of everything. Like, why is it so weird that I was standing there? So she's just like, okay, I just was just wondering what you were doing. Why are you wondering what I'm doing? Like, you have nothing to do with me or what I'm doing or my business. So why do you care? It just is so weird to me that this has happened to me twice in a month time span, and I'm just taking a selfie video. Like, I'm not like taking pictures of a store like you see these people on TikTok where they're filming the front of a store just to see who comes in and out of it, and the owner of the store comes out and says, "You can't take pictures of my store." And like, "Yes, we can." They're like, "No, you can't. We're calling the cops." And then they actually can do whatever they want. So it's not one of those videos. There was nothing in the background but the street behind me, and there was only houses back there. So it wasn't like I was like filming. There's no store in sight because I was standing on the corner looking up my street. So I didn't even finish it. I just like went home and I'm like, I'll just do this. I'll do this at home and not do this on the street. I might give it another try, but if somebody else comes up to me and asks me when I'm filming, I'm done. I'll just do everything in my private home in the studio that I'm in. So enjoy my episode with Francois. Thanks for listening to me go through that little bit of rage I had. So I appreciate you all for listening. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me in the Everything and Anything in a Bit Gay podcast. One of my favorite things to talk about, as my listeners know, is skincare. And I am honored today to have Francois on my show, who is like the skincare king, I'm going to call him, because there's so much that he's been doing for so long on skincare. So welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you, Zach, for having me.
So tell me a little bit about, you have a global career in the beauty industry. When was the moment that you kind of realized that skincare is so important, but we have to go past kind of the serums and the creams? Because just to kind of give you a little bit of background on me, I have a bathroom downstairs that has 3 drawers and 2 cabinets, and it's full of skincare stuff because I love skincare and I love vitamins. I have my NAD vitamins. I have my collagen vitamins. I'm taking all these things. First, let's start at the beginning. How did you get an interest in doing skincare?
So that's a long story because when I started after graduating from business school, I joined L'Oréal, which is a large French multinational company. I was not particularly interested in cosmetics and skincare, but I have to admit that I was very interested in working for L'Oréal because it was a multinational company. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, this company is going to take me everywhere around the world. So that's how I started. That's how I got started. And that's exactly what they did. I worked for L'Oréal for 12 years. And I worked pretty much everywhere around the world for L'Oréal. I worked in Australia, I've worked in Asia, I've worked in the UK, I've worked in France as well. The only country where I didn't work for L'Oréal was the US, which I did when I left L'Oréal and I joined Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
And I moved to Los Angeles to work on Neutrogena to run their international business. So, I've worked as a business executive in the skincare and dermatology and cosmetic industry for about 18 years.
Wow.
And yes, and pretty much all over the world. And I could see the diversity of approaches to skincare from women in Korea, women in France, and more men and women, but primarily women because they were the prime consumers, and how it was different, for example, to the US. American women tend to use less skincare as Korean women or French women. They tend to use more makeup as French women, and I think that has a lot to do with the image and projection of beauty. I think American people are very much into projecting, while the approach in France and in Asia is probably a little more intimate. That's where skincare is different. I use skincare because I want to do something for myself to make me feel good. But now things are kind of evening out. American women use a lot of skincare as well, but it's quite fascinating. It's a very dynamic, very vital industry. Lots of news all the time, and I was very lucky because I worked for 2 great companies that are global, that had a lot of resources in R&D and in marketing, so they could develop new products, bring to the market innovative products, as well as market them globally. So great experience, very happy. When I reach 40 years old, I think maybe that's the midlife crisis. I don't know, but I decided I wanted to do my own things. I wanted to start my own business. I suppose that's what happens to you when you're a bit of a free spirit. It's hard
Yeah.
to work in those large. I'm sure you can relate to that.
I
It's
totally relate to you 100%. Yes.
to work for those large multinational companies. It's a bit of a golden cage. You don't have much control over your life. It's and I'm not, as we say in French, I'm not spitting in my in my mill. That's not what, meaning that I'm not trying to reject what I've done for 18 years, but I suppose when I reached 40, I needed to do my own things, and what I knew was the only thing that I knew was skincare and cosmetics. But I also wanted to trying to find a way to go beyond skincare, and I was particularly interested in the field of aging. I mean, obviously, skincare and aging are related
Yeah.
fields. And the purpose of skincare being to maintain and then hopefully improve the appearance of your skin and delay aging. At least so is the promise, delayed aging. But I had this vague vision. Was not, so when I left Johnson and Johnson at the age of 40, I started my own small investment company to do seed capital.
Okay.
I don't know if your listeners are familiar with seed. Is very early stage financing.
Mhm.
So I looked into a few projects. We invested some money, but very quickly I realized that that was not me. I needed more of a hands-on job, and that's when I met two French immunologists, and they had been working in the field of AIDS research.
Okay.
And under the supervision of the Professor Luc Montagnier, who is the recipient of the Nobel Prize of Medicine for the discovery of the AIDS virus, along with Robert Gallo in California. Well, anyway, cut a long story short, Professor Montagnier is a great supporter of natural medicine, natural products, and he believed that natural products, botanical extract could be part of the arsenal against, AIDS. Of course, you have a first stage, which are all those retroviral drugs, but those drugs do nothing against the damage that are caused by the virus. And so that's where natural medicine and natural health products can do something. And basically, they were working and this is a whole story. So I want to let your listener breathe a little bit. But that's when it started. They came to see me and said, we have a orally bioactive form of superoxide dismutase, and we don't know what to do with it. Well, basically, that's when the next phase of my career started, because not only we invested a bit of money, but I was intrigued by SOD or superoxide dismutase because I had come across that molecule when I was working at L'Oreal, and L'Oreal had multiple patents on SOD, topical SOD, to apply on hair loss, hair graying, and so on. So I knew a little bit about this SOD called the master enzyme, master enzyme. So that's when the whole thing started. But at that stage, we were not into skincare. I knew there was some correlation, but I had not decided that we will try to take skincare to a next level, a new level.
And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. So their idea of coming, so you knew there was a patent with L'Oreal. So what did you think, like, okay, we can't use it because since they have the patent for skincare necessarily, right? So you had to think of another way to kind of use it?
Yes. Well, L'Oreal has patents on the usage of topical
yes.
SOD. So, but these two immunologists, had developed an oral bioactive form, totally different products, same molecule, but in the L'Oreal's case, it's administered topically. In their case, it was administered orally. And SOD is nothing new in medicine. You know, it was discovered in 1968 by two American scientists, Michael Fridovich and Joe McCord. And it's been, there are, if you're interested in research, there are thousands and thousands of articles, published articles on superoxide dismutase, on SOD, because of its very critical role in terms of protection against oxidative stress, inflammation, and aging. But originally, that was in an injectable form.
Mm-hmm.
So you would extract SOD from beef liver.
Oh.
Yes, and inject it where you had an inflamed issue.
Yeah.
For example, in very commonly used in the treatment of osteoarthritis in knees.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it will reduce inflammation. So as an anti-inflammatory product molecule, it was very well known. And but in the 90s we had mad cow disease in Europe.
Yes.
So we couldn't use any animal extract.
Yeah.
So you had to switch to an alternative form of superoxide dismutase, and that's when those two immunologists were. That's why they were conducting research, and they found a way. But the problem of SOD, and I'm sorry, it's a little complex. I hope I'm not losing your audience. But
I'm following, so they'll follow.
Okay. Okay. But SOD is a very small molecule, and if you take it orally, it's destroyed by the acidity of the stomach. So you had to find a way to protect that SOD if it's taken orally. And it had to be taken orally because we couldn't use animal extract, so we moved from SOD source from botanical extract. But SOD from botanical extract cannot be purified to a very, very high level, as with beef SOD.
Yeah.
So if it's not purified, it cannot be injected. So if it cannot be injected, what is the alternative route to use it? It's to take it orally. But it couldn't take it. It couldn't be taken orally because it was destroyed by the acidity. And those two guys, those two immunologists, their patent was on developing a protective matrix for SOD so that it will survive the GI tract, the gastric tract, and not be destroyed.
And then it gets absorbed into the body?
Yes, and then it will reach the upper level of the intestine, called the small intestine, where you have 70% of your immunocompetent cells, and that's where it will be absorbed at that level. So, and I'll get later into what it does to the whole body, but let me give you a bit of an explanation on SOD, because it's a very strange word, and unless you've studied molecular biology, you're probably not familiar with this molecule. But basically, SOD is the master defense system against the toxicity of oxygen. So oxygen appeared on Earth about 3.5 billion years ago, and it was for a billion years, it was trapped underwater. And then suddenly it started, not suddenly, but progressively, it was diluted in the atmosphere. And when that happened, it almost wiped out all life forms on Earth. Because oxygen is super toxic. And to protect any life forms from the toxicity of oxygen, nature being such a well-organized mechanism, developed a molecule to protect us against the toxicity of oxygen. So any living life form, plant, botanical, animal, humans who consumes oxygen produced SOD to protect itself or himself from herself from the toxicity of oxygen. And that molecule didn't change in 2.5 billion years. So
Wow.
it's the same SOD that appeared 2.5 million years that you find that we produced, that our body produces today to protect us against the toxicity of oxygen and the phenomenon of called oxidation and oxidative stress. So it all starts from the toxicity of oxygen.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty long story. I'm sorry, but it's a critical story because without SOD, basically you die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they came up with this great way for people to digest it.
Yes.
And what was the results that you kind of seen once people started doing this? I mean,
Yes.
were you shocked about the results?
Well, it had an impact on a few years before we could actually identify some clinical end benefits,
Yeah.
But I just want to add one more thing on SOD. When it was first discovered, SOD was called the enzyme of life because every life form that consumes oxygen against produces SOD. And the longer they live, the more SOD it produces. There is a
Okay.
direct correlation between longevity and your internal production of SOD. So that's how critical this enzyme is. But back to your question, we did a lot of they did a lot of scientific, and then subsequently, I suggested to those two immunologists, to the three of us, to form a company, which we did. It's ISOCELL today, and from day one, we decided to take the high route, meaning that we'll invest in research, in scientific studies to characterize that oral product, which we did. So we did some in vitro work, in vivo work, and we could demonstrate that this molecule has very strong anti-inflammatory properties as well as immunomodulating properties.
Okay.
So it has a down or up regulating effect on part of your immunity. So it will reduce TNF alpha. It will promote some anti-inflammatory interleukin. So at cellular level, it's quite effective. So that's the science. But you're going to ask me, what do people see, when they take this product? So today we have 40 plus published scientific and clinical studies on many different indications, from immunology, oncology, cardiovascular health, and arteriosclerosis, dermatology. So basically, people will have a stronger immune system, which will, for someone who is healthy, that will mean, more energy, better recovery when under stress. It will also strengthen your photoprotection, so you have a clearer skin, because that's where you see it's kind of heading towards skincare, because photoprotection is critical to skin aging, and this is for healthy people. And by the way, those are benefits that we have witnessed in pretty much every country around the world. Today we work in 50 countries around the world. So it's and we have conducted studies in 10 different countries. So this product is not just a small product that was kind of developed in a small lab in a corner of France. No, it's been validated in many countries, and it's been registered in 50 regulatory organizations around the world. So we know it's a very safe product, and as well as effective.
And is it in the U.S. at this point too?
Yes, it's in the U.S. It's been in the U.S. for a while, for a few years. We work with a few clinics, dermatology clinics. But I have to admit that, and I'm a bit ashamed of that, because of the size and the cost of marketing in the US, we are not very present in the US.
Okay.
but we are very strong in Latin America, for example.
Yes.
In
Brazil
Asia as
loves
well.
skincare and skin health.
Brazil, Mexico, Peru, all those countries.
Yes.
But in the US, we do have a presence. We have done a few studies also in the US. By the way, on combination with topical products, and we'll get into that, how the product can enhance, for example, retinoids, anti-wrinkle creams,
Yeah.
or it can reduce side effects of laser work. If you're going to receive some treatment on hyperpigmentation, that is a very inflammatory process. So the product
I've
can
done
reduce
laser,
that
and I've done laser before, and it is it's a recovery time after laser.
Yes. So basically it's a product that will work in synergy with whatever you're doing topically. But again, 40 studies plus, so it has an impact on other cardiometabolic diseases as well. It's working in a systemic way. So skin is obviously, it's targeting skin, but it targets many other organs, because all organs in our body are subject to oxidative stress.
And how are you promoting it that way, or are you just promoting it more for skin health?
In the US, it's more for skin health,
okay.
to be honest. Yeah. So, you understand that there are some regulatory constraints that we have to respect, which obviously we are doing. But people who understand, practitioners or people who understand integrative medicine, functional medicine, understand that the product is way beyond skin. It really offers some help and recovery and possibly prevention help, in many different health fields.
And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. So is it in the United States, is it considered an over-the-counter product, or is it considered, it is?
Yeah. It's actually available on your favorite digital store.
Okay. Tell my listeners what the name of the product is, so they can go and look for it. Because I think a lot of my listeners love skincare like I do, so they would, or skin health, and so maybe you could tell them a little bit about it.
The product name is Glisodin, Glisodin.
Okay.
And it's available, as I said, on Amazon Prime. It's and some clinics as well, but very limited number of clinics in the US as well as in Canada. And we're talking about dermatology and aesthetic clinics.
Yes.
So that's the technology, and then we have skin brightening products more for pigmentation work.
Yes.
We have an anti-aging product, which is personally the one I take almost religiously every morning, because it's really the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory that you can find. It contains not only our technology, the orally bioactive SOD, but it contains omega-3, omega-6, other ingredients that will complement what SOD does. Very effective for your skin to maintain your skin health. The skin brightening will be more photoprotective, so younger people who are sensitive to sun. And then we have and that's basically the products. It's a very short line of products, and I would recommend to also visit our website on glisodin.org or glisodin.com. Those are non-commercial websites, but they offer a lot of information on our products and on our technology and supporting studies. And we are not just another nutraceutical product or another dietary supplement. I think we have so much data that makes us a little more credible than the majority of products on the market.
Yeah, and I'll just say that, like on social media and TikTok and stuff, there's a lot of videos, people are trying to sell the NAD
Yeah.
supplement and those type of things. And then all these people bought them and seen no results for some of these NAD things because they were not even the real stuff. It was just who knows what they were taking because they were selling something that wasn't even really had the right ingredients in it. So I think a lot of people, including myself, bought some of this stuff thinking, oh, it's going to help my anti-aging and stuff. And then 6 months later, you find out it had nothing to do with anything that they were promoting for it. So
Mm.
I love it that your product has the whole the clinical backing and the clinical research that's behind it, and that's I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for over 20 years, so I understand how important having that clinical backing
Yeah.
it's to a product to show that to show how that it's the real thing.
Yeah. And that's why we are among the very few products who dare to visit physicians.
Mhm.
And, we work with over 10,000 dermatologists around the world. Maybe not many in the US, but in Latin America, again, in
Yeah,
Asia, in France, and so on. And why we're the very few competitors because very few companies have clinical data to support their claims and what they, so that's also the reason why we have chosen that channel, medical channel of distribution for our products to work with physicians.
yeah.
Uh,
Is the topical products also on Amazon and other stores like that as well?
so just to be very clear, we don't do topical products.
Oh, you
What we
don't do
do,
topical. Okay, go
no,
ahead.
well, because our technology, our expertise is in oral products.
And
We
oral, okay.
believe that we have among the best product in the world, for oral products. Topical, there are a lot of good topical products out there.
What do
But
you
what
use?
we,
Because you have great skin. Can you tell us what you use every morning?
well, I use my products, the anti-aging products that we market, and I also use good skincare. I
Okay.
use Clarins or
Yep.
Lancôme, some of the French companies,
Yes.
not to name them, sorry,
Yes.
but on a daily basis. And I think it's the combination that gives you the best results. Again, I don't think it's just one side of the
Mhm.
story.
Yeah, I think that the whole taking a supplement or taking, something that you're ingesting, I feel like it's overlooked a lot of times because people are so into finding the magic cream or serum and stuff, and they're not thinking about, like, going internally, starting from internal, that's
Yeah,
how I kind of see it. I also think that people rely so much on getting fillers now and Botox and everything else, and they're not thinking about it sounds like what you've come up with is the true anti-aging because it's going internally and starting that way, which is amazing. So I think
yeah.
I love it that you're educating people on this.
Well, yes, thank you. I think that more and more skincare companies are going to move into our field because it's the way to go beyond skincare. And if
Yeah.
you're interested, particularly if you're interested in longevity,
Yes.
in aging, now if I may, I'll just give you and people will understand if I just give you 1 minute of explanations why it's so critical to work on and protect your body internally against oxidative stress. But basically, when you breathe oxygen, oxygen is going to be the source of energy for your cells.
Mhm.
Okay. But in the process of burning that oxygen and consuming that oxygen, your cells are going to produce 2 to 3% of very toxic molecules called reactive oxygen species. And the most toxic is the superoxide free radical. And so, what our body is, as I said, produced SOD. So SOD, catalase, and glutathione, it's a whole enzymatic pathway, will transform those toxic molecules into non-toxic molecules.
Okay.
But obviously, if you're sick and as you age, this ability declines. And if you have your reactive oxygen species, those toxic free radicals, let go free, they will damage your cell membranes because they are going to seek out their missing electron, and they will damage your skin membranes and your cell membranes. Sorry. And one way to measure your oxidative stress is to measure, the level of lipid peroxidation. So this, and once they have penetrated the cells, they will damage your nucleus. And if your nucleus is damaged, then it will prevent your cells from replicating themselves in a perfectly homothetic way. So it's very critical to protect your cells from oxidative stress. So, and to have a healthy production or supplementation of SOD, of orally bioactive SOD. Oxygen is the most toxic source of free radicals of oxidative stress. Then the second most toxic source is sun radiation. So to have good skincare, you need to protect yourself from internally as well as externally. And we have done multiple studies showing that there is a strong synergy between our internal products and topical products. And on average, I'm not trying to boost here, but we double the effectiveness of topical products. So we mentioned topical retinoids. We did a study showing that if you compare a topical retinoid on its own and combine it with our products, you're going to have twice the improvements after 90 days or even 30 days. Skin elasticity, reduced photo damage, hydration, and so on. And it's the synergy that works well. And that's really what I'm trying to promote on this market, is that skincare is great, but you can do better than that if you combine internal and external products.
Have you thought about doing a topical product at some point?
I can't say that the thought hasn't crossed my mind, but I believe in being the best at what I do. And the best at what we do is oral products.
Yeah. It's a crowded market for topical, right? I mean,
exactly. There are so many great products, and then you need to be strong at formulation. It's again. I think we have among the best products, nutraceutical products. It will be very, very challenging to reach that level of expertise with topical products.
Great. I'm going to buy it and try it out, and then I'll tell my listeners what it's like. So tell me the name of it again, and I will put it in the description of this podcast or video.
So it's called Glisodin, GLISODIN.com. And again, .com is the website. And we call it Glisodin Skin Nutrients. Okay. So that's the name of the line. And I'll be happy to share the exact details with you offline. But again, it's available on Amazon.
I'll put a link to Amazon so everybody in the U.S. that listen. My listeners are mostly U.S. and Canada, so I will put it in there, and they can go and buy it. So.
Yes, I think they will be happy with the results in terms of improve energy, improve glow. The glow of your skin, which is no topical products is going to bring you glow. That has to come from inside. And yes, and by the way, we also available in Canada on the same Amazon Canada.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize, because I worked in dermatology for several years, and I don't think people realize that your skin is an organ. It's the biggest organ we have, and just like taking care of it is how important that is. So. I think that the way you explained it all, it makes so much sense to me as a skincare lover and like wanting to try to stop aging or slow it down at least. So I really appreciate you kind of going in and explaining this, and I'll give it a try and see, because the other stuff that I've taken, I think it was, I don't know what was in it. So I probably shouldn't have been just buying it offline and taking it. But I love it that you, again, that you have clinical backing for all this. And that
Yeah.
really says a lot. So
Yes, it took us a while, but we are very proud to have those studies available now, because
that's
it
great.
makes a big difference.
Well, thank you so much for being on. I will put again the link to both his company website, and I will put a link into Amazon. So if you want to go and try the product, and if you try the product, leave a message on this podcast and tell us what you thought about it, because we would love to hear. I'm going to buy it as soon as we end this interview, and I'll make a recommendation also after so 30, 60, 90 days is kind of when you start seeing results.
Hopefully 30 days.
30
yes.
days.
Yes.
Okay.
It has to work fast. Otherwise, people,
Yes.
are not interested forever. But 90 days will be my recommended length of time. You take the products at least, but you should see improvement on your skin after 30 days.
Wow, that's amazing. This is
Yeah.
exactly what I needed. So thank you so much for coming on and being part of the podcast. And I think my listeners will really, really love this, since I love skincare, though a lot of them to do too. So thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Nice.
Thanks everybody for
talking to you.
listening. Be sure to check out Francois's website. Again, I'll leave it in the description of this podcast or video, and leave a comment and let us know what you think about it. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening.